Whether it's in a factory, a hotel, or even an operating room, robots are, well, they're quietly changing just about everything. They promise this incredible efficiency and quality, right? But that promise, it definitely comes with a price. So today, we're going to dig into both sides of this whole robotic revolution. So that leads to the big question, right? How are these machines really building our world? I mean, from the car you drive to the hotel you might stay in, their influence is it's growing every single day. Let's kick things off with where they've made the biggest splash, the success stories.
All right, first up, let's talk about the wins, the incredible achievements. We're going to look at a few real-world examples where industrial robotics have been, honestly, a massive game changer.
Okay, let's start where it all began for a lot of this stuff, the factory floor. The auto industry, man, they were one of the first to go all in on automation, and for a really good reason. You had companies like Toyota and Ford trying to solve this huge puzzle. How do you mass-produce millions of cars with perfect consistency every single time?
And the impact? It was absolutely transformative. Think about it. A robot can perform the exact same perfect weld thousands and thousands of times without ever getting tired. It drastically cuts down production time. And all that precision means way less human error, which, at the end of the day, translates to a higher quality, more reliable car rolling off that assembly line.
And the scale here is it's mind-blowing. At its peak, Toyota was cranking out over 10 million vehicles in a single year. I mean, just let that number sink in. That's a number that is simply impossible to hit without a robotic workforce running 24/7. It's a huge testament to what automation can really do when it's unleashed. But hey, this tech isn't just for heavy-duty manufacturing. Let's switch gears and go from the factory floor to a place you might not expect to see a robot, the hospitality industry. Big hotel chains like Radisson are now using service robots. Pretty cool, right? So, what do? Well, these little robots deliver things like food or towels directly to guest rooms. And yeah, on the surface, that just seems like a simple way to be more efficient, but it's actually way smarter than that. Sure, it cuts down on labor costs, but it also creates this really unique, memorable experience for guests. It's a total win-win that ends up boosting customer satisfaction. Okay, for our final success story, we're going into a much, much higher stakes environment, the operating room, and we're talking about the incredible Da Vinci surgical robot. Yeah, this is where precision isn't just about quality, it's literally life-saving. The Da Vinci robot lets surgeons perform incredibly complex procedures. We're talking heart surgeries, cancer surgeries, with a level of accuracy that's just beyond human capability. This all leads to minimally invasive operations, which means less damage to surrounding tissue, and here's the most important part: shorter recovery times and fewer complications for the patients. That's a huge deal. Okay, so we've seen some amazing successes, right? But for all these wins, there is another side to this story. Putting robots to work is a super complex process, and it's filled with some pretty significant challenges. So you can see this clear tension building up. On one hand, you've got these immense benefits, insane efficiency, higher quality. But on the other hand, you're weighing that against some very real drawbacks: massive costs, the need for super rare expertise, and some big social questions. Let's break down each of these challenges, one by one. Challenge number one, and maybe the biggest hurdle for most companies, is just the sheer cost. And listen, this isn't like buying a new piece of equipment. It's a major, major financial investment. The initial price tag can be absolutely staggering. We're talking millions of dollars before a single product even gets made. That covers the robot itself, the installation, the training, the whole shebang. For a lot of small to medium-sized businesses, that cost alone puts advanced robotics completely out of reach. But okay, let's say you can afford the hardware. There's still the human element to deal with. See, an advanced robot without a skilled operator is kind of like a Formula One car without a driver. It's just a very, very expensive piece of metal sitting there. This problem actually has a name. It's called the expertise gap. There just aren't enough people out there with the technical skills to program, operate, and maintain these complex systems. And this isn't just a small inconvenience, it can paralyze an entire production line. It can turn that multi-million-dollar investment into a multi-million-dollar liability fast. And that brings us to our third and final challenge, which is a big one. It touches on the broader impact of robotics on all of us, on society and on the workforce. This is the fear you always hear about, right? The one that dominates the headlines. Robots are going to replace human workers. And that concern is most real for jobs that are repetitive or involve manual labor. But, this isn't just about losing a job. It's about the social fabric.
It's about the massive challenge of retraining an entire generation of workers for a totally new kind of economy.
So when you weigh all this, the incredible promise on one side and these very real problems on the other, you start to see why industrial robotics is so often called a double-edged sword. One side cuts a path towards progress and efficiency, while the other, well, it threatens ways of work that have been around for a very long time.
So what's the path forward here? It's not about choosing between progress and people. Real success requires investing in two things at once. First, in the technology itself, obviously. But just as important, you have to invest in the human workforce, training people for the new kinds of roles that are going to pop up alongside these machines.
And this leaves us with a really fundamental question. The robots are here, and a lot more are coming. The real challenge, when you think about it, isn't about managing the machines. It's about how we choose to manage ourselves, our skills, our economies, and our vision for a future where humans and robots can actually work together. So the question is, what role will you play in shaping that future?